Shall we?
All right. So let's begin the show. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this rainy morning. Actually, it's raining in Delhi NCR. And our today's topic is smart retirement, maximizing savings and minimizing taxes. For that, we have our renowned speaker, Vibhu sir. He is a certified financial planner with over 25 years of leadership experience in different multinational organizations in India and Dubai. Following his corporate career, Vibhu shifted his focus to his passion for personal finance. Over the past 8 years, he has successfully managed his own investment portfolio, achieving a 3x return. In addition, managing his own asset, he is an advisor to different HNI clients on their financial strategies. Vivu is also committed to mentoring aspiring CFPs and leads outreach initiative for ICFP in South and East India. Thank you so much, Vibhu sir, for joining us. The stage is yours.
Yeah. Thank you, Kanaya, for a very warm and nice introduction. So let me start with because I was just reading a lot of these articles. I'm in LinkedIn. I read Economic Times, Money Control, which is needed for any finance professional if they want to be in this profession, right? So every second or third article that you look and open today these days is about retirement planning. Okay. So last weekend, I was sitting with my dad. I was telling him he's now pretty old. He's like about 84. So he was an economics professor. He worked for a college in Madurai. It's a small town, 400 kilometers down of south. By the way, I'm now based in Chennai. So I asked him. In fact, he asked me. He said, like, why is there so much of, because he still actively reads, although he's confined to home, but he still reads at least 3-4 hours a day, different papers and stuff. So he asked me, like, why is there so much of hype about this retirement planning these days? Like, did we not retire? Did we not work? Did we not sustain our living expenses? Did we not do things that were required? So I asked him, like, basically two things that I asked him, like, how many jobs he had in his entire career. Okay. He told me that he worked for the same, because I know the answer. So I just wanted to kind of have it from him, right? So he said, I worked for the same college for about 30 or 35 years. He wrote some exam to become a professor and he joined this college and he continued to work there for 35 years. So this is point A. So I said, how many people these days, people not even have the patience to be with the job for more than 3 years or 5 years? That's one. Now, two is, what's the pace of lifestyle in terms of connectivity, mobile, the social media presence, and the peer pressure which is there today, which was not there those days. Life was pretty simple, straightforward. He used to go in a city bus, come back, and he used to have that single stable job. And today he is drawing a pension of 1 lakh plus, because that was an autonomous college funded by government. So the landscape of what our fathers and grandfathers had has changed a lot. So if you want to be in the space of being in financial advisory, you have to understand how does this piece of retirement works, because people want to retire early. They're too stressed. There's a lot of peer pressure. There's a lot of social media hype that is going around being a startup founder or being on your own or taking early retirement. There is this word called FIRE, which is financially independent, retire early, and stuffs like that. So as financial advisors, whether you are a financial advisor, whether you are an investor of your own, whether you are looking for retirement planning for your own self, whether you are an investment advisor who is there in the market advising people, this topic of what we are going to discuss today is going to be of extreme relevance, because this is something which everyone today needs when it comes to retirement planning, because life is becoming tough, competitive, and we have to have our own strategy and space. Otherwise, we are just going to get lost. Why should we have a strategy? Because we are hearing so many versions of stories that are coming from the different social media, right? Like if you open Instagram, there are reels in 30 seconds which talks about retirement planning. Is that even wise? Not really. But so when there is so much going around, at least you should have your space well reserved in terms of your mindset so that you're not distracted. So the basic reason Why you should have a strategy is not because you don't need to be a multi-crorepati or whatever is your size, yours, everyone has their own size, which is big or which is relevant. You need to have a strategy so as to not get distracted. That's the basic point here that we are going to talk about. Okay. So whether you are doing it for yourself, whether you're going to do it for someone else, this is still relevant. Okay. Let me begin to share my screen. Okay. Right. Kanaya, you are able to see my screen, right?
Yes, yes.
All right. Thank you. Okay. So, okay. Firstly, I would like to thank Kanaya and the team at ICOFP for providing me an opportunity to talk about this very interesting topic of smart retirement with tax efficiency. Retirement as a topic has always fascinated me. It's of great interest to me because you get to work a lot of numbers around this, lot of situations. It's just not the number game. It also carries a lot of human psychology, which is blended with it. Because when you grow old, you also have to begin to get fear. When you're young, you're not fearful. But when you grow old, you also get a sense of fear. So the strategies that we are going to talk about will be a combination of human psyche, which is going to get addressed, and also maximizing it from a financial standpoint. And this is why retirement as a topic has always been a very favorite thing for me, right? Okay. Now, what are the factors for retirement? Let's say you're sitting with someone or you're doing this for your own self, the basic fundamental information that you should have is being represented in the sheet. Now, is this all that you need to have for a retirement planning? No, but this is the beginning. This is the starting point for you to have a draft or a plan or a beginning sketch for you to be able to plan your retirement. Now, what is the first and foremost? It's the years to retirement. This puts you in a good space. If your years to retirement is longer, like if you're starting at 30, you have like 30 years or 25 years to go. If you're starting at 40, you have only 15 or 20 years to go. So the years to retirement is your retirement age minus current age. Depending upon how long or how big is the gap, you're going to be able to do well, right? What are your current expenses and what are the inflation during pre and post retirement? Now that's, I always tell my kids this example that you win a cash award of 5,000 rupees. Okay, you come home, that's in a cover. Let's say you staple it and you put it in a safe place at home. Okay, you then forget about that cover, come back after 3 or 5 years, and if you open that cover and try to spend that money, the amount of things that you were able to buy when you actually won the award, which was 5 years back, is going to be much lesser today. The money has not changed since the currency note is still the same. It's 500 notes, 500 rupee note into 10 numbers. It's still the same, but the value of the currency has eroded, right? So that's inflation. This is something people skip it. They just say like, my expense today is 1 lakh rupees. So I'll have to plan for 1 lakh rupees. So I always ask them, so how many years are there for you to retire? They say, yeah, I have some 10, 15 years. I said, like, are you really sure that you're going to plan just for 1 lakh rupees, even if your retirement is after 15 years? That's not the right approach. So we have to always consider inflation, whether you're doing this for yourself or whether you are advising people. There is a lot of mis-selling that also happens in the market when people conveniently skip inflation because that makes their job pretty much more easier. And obviously then your choice of asset classes, because when you're in pre-retirement period, you have much higher risk taking ability because of the time period and you're younger, and you have the maneuverability and that volatility which is there in the market can be managed because of a longer time. So the choice of funds is going to be much higher in risk in terms of pre-retirement, and post-retirement, you're going to go a little conservative. The last but not the least is your life expectancy. Like, no one can predict like how long I'm going to live, but you can always take an idea that. So if you're going to retire at 60, I want to plan for a post-retirement of 20 years or 25 years, right? So that means you are expecting to live till 80 or 85. So you will take care of that aspect in terms of whether you're doing it for yourself or if your client. So this information has to be from the retiree in terms of how many years that he or she wants to plan their retirement for. This is the starting point for the factors for retirement. Now I have a small Excel sheet here. So I would like to go out of this PPT and go here to this example basis which that we talked. Now let's assume a person whose current age is 30. All right. Retirement age is 60. Life expectancy is 90. Current expenses is 12 lakh rupees per annum. This is the yearly expense. As of now, I'm assuming inflation to be zero. The inflated expense remains at 12 lakhs. This is what a lot of people do. And the real rate is also not there. I will explain what is the real rate. Now, the retirement corpus that I need to sustain 12 lakh rupees of expense for 1 year, basis that if I have to survive for 30 years, which is from 60 to 90, I need 3.6 crores. Majority of the people that we know do this mistake of not considering the inflation. Now I enter the inflation here as 6%. Yes, and okay. Now the post retirement returns, because I also have to consider that I'm going to invest my retirement corpus. Yes, I will move it from a higher risk fund to a lower risk fund, but I need to still have some returns around it, right? So let's assume that to be 8%. Okay. So the size of the retirement corpus I need, my dear friends, is 15.97 crores. What happens typically in the market, or what happens typically from most of us, some of us do this mistake unconsciously without realizing what mistake we are going to do. So what we think, okay, today I'm making some SIPs for my retirement. So I'm going to invest them into some fund which is going to give me 8% returns. So I need that for 30 years. So I'm going to accumulate that. And so my requirement is only 1.45 crores. But the moment you bring inflation, then your requirement actually shoots to 16 crores. Look at it. The inflated expense without the inflation factor is currently 12 lakhs. It is after 30 years is also 12 lakhs. But is it true? We all know that it's not, because just look at the petrol price. Like we used to fill petrol at 18 rupees, 20 rupees, 50 rupees. Today it is at 100. The education inflation is going up. Health inflation is going up. Then your vacation inflation is going up. Your lifestyle inflation is going up in terms of eating out in restaurants or having choice of your smartphones. Everything is going up, right? So I have to build this inflation into my calculation. Now, what is this real rate? I will explain. Now, the pre-retirement returns, if I'm assuming for a long-term period that I'm going to invest in some decent mutual fund, even a half decent mutual fund in the Indian context, I can expect a 12% returns. I need a 51,850 rupees of contribution in a month for me to sustain this retirement. Now, what is this real rate of returns? I have considered this investment return as 8 and this is 6. What is this real rate is? I am providing the retiree the withdrawal option to increase by 6% every year. Now, the first year, if he is going to withdraw this much, then the second year, he is going to be able to withdraw 6% higher than this into 1.06. So 73 lakhs. Likewise, the third year, he or she is going to be able to withdraw 77 lakhs. So with this method, I'm increasing the withdrawal capacity of my retiree every year by 6% for this period of 30 years. So I need this 15.97, and it's not big. For someone who is spending 1 lakh per month, he or she is going to be making 2 lakhs or 2.5 lakhs, right? So for them to save 51,000 towards their retirement, and if it is dual income, 25K of contribution from husband and wife, I don't think it's a big challenge. People miss this aspect of inflation. People miss this aspect of increment in withdrawal from the time you retire, because when you're working, when you're getting paid a salary and your employer is increasing your yearly, we all wait for that appraisal. We see like, what is our boss going to say? What is our manager going to say? We are waiting eagerly to see what is going to be our appraisal. But when it is in post-retirement, you'll have to give yourself the appraisal, right? That is where this 6% I'm increasing. which is why the real rate I'm taking is the difference between these two, and I'm dividing it by the inflation. It's a little technical, but for now, you can easily assume that the yearly withdrawal is increasing by 6%. So we are giving ourselves or our clients the opportunity to have an increment in withdrawal every year for the 30 years we are planning for them in retirement. And for that, we only need 51,850 as a contribution. Now, if this current expense is lesser, like, if it is only, let's say someone is doing at 8,50,000, then it is 36,000. Someone is having 7,50,000, then it is 32,000. Your requirement is 9.98 crores. Someone is having a current expense of only 50,000. They say we'll shift to a smaller town. We'll have a much calm, simple lifestyle. You see, like, the current expense is, let's say, like 50,000. When I convert, so I have to do it as 6 lakhs. So I have to do a 25,000 contribution in a month, which is possible. This is easy. If people are wanting to move to a smaller town or a quiet place or to their native back, and look at this. So this is going to yield them. So this is going to yield them the aspect in terms of a contribution of only 25K per month. All right. So this was just to kind of give you guys the perspective of what I was talking in terms of the factors for retirement. All right. So we've covered all that in that sheet. This is years to retirement, current expense, inflation, choice of asset classes, 8% on post-retirement, 12% on pre, right? Now, when you hit your retirement, any single small saving that you're able to do, money saved is money gained, right? Because they're not going to be in a position to take so much of a risk in terms of investing into a small cap fund or a mid cap fund or even a large and mid cap fund, because it's going to be volatile, and they're not going to be in a position to accept that level of risk. But how do I maximize like the money that I make? So I have to have a strategy, very specific strategy, wherein by which I save money wherever possible. So money saved is equal to money gained, because I cannot be chasing returns after I retire. So whatever saving that I'm able to do, I'm going to be able to do that to boost my earning without taking any higher risk, right? So post-retirement funds, if you see, I'm going to obviously move into low-risk funds. So I'm going to move into hybrid funds. I'm going to move into dynamic asset allocation fund. I'm going to move into equity savings funds. I'm going to move into arbitrage funds so that my returns are optimized, but my risk is becoming from here to here. I'm lowering my risk by a large extent when it comes to my post-retirement. Now, how do I make this tax efficiency? I will see that. What is a bucket system with which I can do this? And capital protection is greater than the capital appreciation, which means as a strategy in post-retirement, your first strategy, your first line of defense should be capital protection. Capital appreciation, you have done that hard work in terms of SIP. When you do it in your pre-retirement years, the capital protection is going to be there when you have the SWP. So it's both this SIP and SWP is what that is going to drive your entire retirement planning. One in the pre-retirement using your SIP, where you are going to chase capital appreciation, and post-retirement is capital protection, which is SWP. So how do we manage this? What is this bucket system? Bucket system is so simple. Let's say, have 3 buckets. Let's say this, as per the example in the Excel sheet that we saw, this person is able to accumulate, let's say, 16 crore rupees over the next 30 years. Okay. Now he has 16 crore rupees in his bank account in these different funds. He has withdrawn all that money and he has kept. All right. So for the beginning of the retirement, he has kept that. So now I go and tell that person, and I am also doing this for myself from now as a practice in terms of the allocation of funds into different categories. Now I go to that friend or I go to that client, he's Mr. X, and I tell Mr. X that, sir, you please take out of this 16 crore, you please take out 3 years of your expenses into a liquid fund. You can put it in a liquid fund or your savings account fund, wherever you have the option to make whatever that you want to make, you do that. It's not tax efficient, but it is safe. It runs me out of zero risk in terms of the capital protection. As I said, my first line of mantra in post-retirement is my capital protection. So in my bucket, the first bucket is for 3 years of expense, I'm going to put in liquid. Now, second bucket, I'm going to have a combination of different funds, which are going to be tax efficient, which are not going to make me take most or many risk. So I'm going to deploy into funds like arbitrage funds or equity saving funds. Now, this is a perspective here. There's nothing right or wrong about these funds. Someone might not like an arbitrage fund. Someone might not be comfortable about an equity savings fund. That is perfectly fine. But what am I trying to do this as a narrative here is you have to have a bucket strategy. Now, in the first bucket, you're going to have 3 years of expenses in pure liquid. Okay, you can have it in a liquid mutual fund. You can have it in liquid ETF these days. You can have it in your bank's savings account. That's perfectly fine. It's 100% risk protected. Now comes the second bucket. I'm going to deploy that into arbitrage funds. Arbitrage funds, I just saw the 10-year average, it's 6% ballpark. But what is my biggest advantage is it is on equity taxation, sir. Why is it on equity taxation? Because it takes arbitrage positions in terms of covering the risk of buy and sell. So on the equities, so they have equity taxation. So 6% debt fund versus a 6% arbitrage fund. An arbitrage fund stands taller because it gives me capital protection because of arbitrage positions that it has, but it has a superior tax efficiency system. Even despite the latest change in the long-term capital gains, my long-term capital gains is only 12.5% with an exemption of 1.2 lakh rupees per financial year, vis-a-vis my 30% of marginal rate where I'm going to get in a debt fund, because in the recent change in July 23, 24, 25 budget is you do not have the indexation anymore. You don't even have the grandfathering of indexation, which means despite independent of whenever you bought debt mutual funds, you're not going to have the indexation benefit, right? So if that is the thing, any debt fund, but should I not have debt fund at all? No, that's not the strategy. You should have, but you should kind of optimize that. So my equity taxation or my equity arbitrage funds gives me the equity taxation, and I've taken a very base expectation of 6%, which means my post-tax returns on this is what? 6% minus 12 is like 7.72 goes off. So it's still a little above 5% on post-tax basis, which in a debt fund, even if I make 8% or 7%, let's say I make 7% just for ease of calculation, then my returns is slightly less than 5. Now you might say that is 4.9, sir, this is 5.3. But here is where I go to this money saved is equal to money gained. Because this is post-retirement, every single penny that we are able to save in terms of expenses or taxes, that's going to take you your retirement, post-retirement journey longer. That's going to make it safe, is going to give you the cushion. So equity taxation and 6% ballpark is better than a 7% returning debt mutual fund, or a 7.5 or 8% returning debt mutual fund is what is actually going to be equivalent to arbitrage, because an 8% returning debt mutual fund is going to have a post-tax return of 5.5% ballpark. Now, if you can have that kind of debt mutual fund, yes, you can have an allocation to it, but arbitrage could also give you 6.5 and giving a baseline expectation. Again, this is not a recommendation to a particular choice of fund, but this is to give you a perspective. This is to give you an idea in terms of how do you can have a very tax efficient post-retirement portfolio, right? What next? The next is again equity savings fund. It will also have arbitrage positions. It will give you a 8.5% ballpark. That's the 10-year average. You guys can Google it and check. Again, it's not a recommendation. It's a perspective. It's for you to, your thinking process to get triggered. I'm talking about optimizing the risk, but with equity taxation, given the recent rule change in terms of indexation benefit not being there, right? So that's where I kind of read a lot about this. I'm also an investor into arbitrage funds. I'm also an investor into a very big contribution on ESF, which is equity saving funds. So I've been a first-hand recipient of these nature of these funds, and they're pretty good, touch wood, right? And always have insurance standalone. Do not go for those lock-in things in terms of like, I pay for 5 years, then, I wait for 1 year, then I get the yield for like annuity for like another 20 years with return of premium. Yes, it sounds pretty nice. And wherever you have some tax benefit in terms of those incomes becoming tax free, the IRR is never more than 6 or 6.25%. And you will have a lot of pre-closure fee or a penalty fee if you have to close that. Again, this is a perspective. For some people, it would still work, but it's always better to have insurance on a standalone basis. And what is rebalancing? Like, when I have a bucket strategy, I will have 3 buckets. I talked about the second bucket. Now, in the third bucket, I can have investments to index funds, which are, let's say, Nifty 50 tracking index fund. It's going to have a stable 10% returns over a long period of time without any sweat. Because if you take Nifty 50, which was launched in about 1999 until 2024, in about 25 years, if someone has had stayed in Nifty 50 without moving the funds, he or she would have made double-digit returns. That's for sure. And it is almost so safe because the index is not going to go anywhere. The companies can come and go, but the index is always there to stay, right? And it is giving you double-digit returns with equity taxation, obviously. So when you have these 3 buckets, what happens is the first 3 years expenses gets over, then you refill the first bucket from the second bucket, then you refill the third bucket to second bucket. So when you do this, you have to do it with cost optimization in terms of the taxation, financial year cutoff, and stuff like that, right? So those transactional aspects have to be taken care of. Why? Money saved is equal to money gained. And that should be your mantra in post-retirement, because you are not going to be having a situation or an opportunity to chase returns or chase high returns like you have in a pre-retirement period. So post-retirement period is always about optimization. Every single small corner that I'm going to optimize is going to help me, right? So rebalancing with cost optimization is again one of the core important aspects in terms of running an efficient tax post-tax or a post-retirement portfolio with tax efficiency. This is where the bucket system comes into play. So my 16 crore, I put in 3 different buckets, right? What's my first bucket? 3 years of expenses in a liquid fund. My second bucket, which could be for 7 years or 10 years, I'm going to put in arbitrage, ESF. Again, perspectives these are. You can have your own choice of funds. You can have some debt mutual funds into there. You can have some conservative hybrid funds into there, which invest into equities, real estate, debt mutual funds, AIFs, and stuff like that, right? But what is important is you have to have tax efficiency always in some corner of your mind. You don't have to make the, it should not become like operation success and patient debt, right? So your tax savings should be optimized to a level that is also giving you some decent returns, and you're not paying a lot of money as taxes, right? So that's where the bucket system, the second bucket, you put those funds, and third bucket as a standard, because even our famous Warren Buffett has said, if he had a choice, he will withdraw all the money of Berkshire, which runs into billions of dollars, and invest into S&P 500 index in the US. What is that? That's investing into the index, on the index fund, because the index is always going to be the king. When the market evolves, when the market moves up and up and up, the active fund managers are going to find it difficult to beat the index. And this is already happening in advanced economies, developed economies like the US. So you can always have an index fund. Again, this is a perspective. It can differ from people to people. That's the beauty of personal finance, right? Just to give you guys a perspective, in India, we have about 40 to 50 AMCs, which is asset management companies, right? And each of them have their different products. So in Indian context, we are talking about having 2,000 different products just in mutual funds alone. 2,000 different products. That's a lot of products, right? So it's exciting for an advisor, but it's also confusing for the investor. Like, where should I invest? Is it right? Is it wrong? There is always this comparison key, like, what is the next guy doing there, right? So this societal compulsion, peer pressure, and all that. But it is exciting for the advisor because it makes you work hard, choose the right product, have the right strategy from the big basket of products which are available, and put them into those individual buckets. The key concept with the team that capital protection for me is higher and than the capital appreciation, and also taking care of the aspect that money saved is money gained, right? Now, tax efficiency, why SWP is better than an annuity? Why is it that? What is SWP? It is systematic withdrawal plan. And what is annuity? Annuity is like you have annuity-based products which are offered by different companies. It could be insurance companies. It could be some other mutual fund companies, whatever is there. Like mutual fund companies, the moment you say mutual fund companies, it becomes an SWP. But annuity is always mostly provided by insurance companies, right? So people think like annuity is safe. I'm able to have a very safe, risk-free, guaranteed income, and I don't have to sweat. I don't have to kind of think too much about market volatilities and stuff. Fully agreed. There is nothing to take away from that classic annuity product. And when you are locking your yield, if you're going to make 6% or 7% from that annuity for some 25 years, the interest rate in your economy when it is growing is going to come down. Because in developed economies, the interest rates is 3 to 4%. Here, repo rate or your LIBOR or your the market RBA rate is around 6.256% range. It's going to keep coming down. So people do think that if I lock the annuity for 7% guaranteed for 20 or 25 years, it's good for me. I am not taking away any of the credit from that. But what happens on the tax aspect when it comes to that annuity is, if it is linked to insurance, yes, you get it as a tax free. But if it is not linked to insurance, then I pay the entire annuity on the marginal tax slab rate, which is 30% or 20%. Now that's the, I would say, a slight disadvantage of annuity. But what happens in SWP? Let's say I invest in a fund. Let's say, as per that example which we saw, we have a total of 16 crores, right? And then we have a bucket 1, bucket 2, bucket 3. Let's say in bucket 2, we have some like 6 or 7 crores. Now this bucket gets replenished, and whenever I move that money from there to here to bucket 1, there is a tax incidence which is going to happen because I'm booking some profits or I'm doing a withdrawal. Whatever I do from my liquid fund, it is fully 30% tax. Whatever I earn, 30% tax, but I'm not even chasing returns from that because I'm having bucket 2 and bucket 3 for returns. So bucket 1, liquid funds, 3 years ka expense, there is no there is no tax efficiency there, my dear friends, because I cannot have tax efficiency at the cost or at the expense of my safety. So the first 3 years, I surrender myself to the maximum tax. I pay 30% tax or 20% or 30%, whatever is my marginal rate, right? But when I move from the second bucket to the first bucket or the third bucket to the second bucket, there is a tax incidence which is going to happen because of I'm withdrawing some money, right? Or I can have it on a periodical basis also on SWP, which can be for 6 months once or 1 quarter once or 1 year once. That money of what I'm booking, let's say I have a 7 crore or 8 crore in that second bucket, and like I'm moving some 70 lakhs or 80 lakhs for that expense. Now, all of that 70 lakh or 80 lakhs is not profit. There is a cost component to it. There is a profit component to it. So the taxation on that is not going to be on the entire money that you are getting. I'm getting into my bucket what I'm getting, right? So if it is an annuity, that entire 70 lakhs that I generate is taxable fully. But if it is SWP, that 70 lakhs is not fully taxable. Now, one more beautiful aspect about it, even if that 70 lakhs is fully taxable, consider that for a moment. It is not. I can say that because I always do this constant churning of funds. So I don't pay the capital gains of the entire money that I withdraw. No, never. But even if you say for a moment that you have to pay tax on the entire 70 lakhs, what is my structure on capital gains for long term? It is 12.5%. Why? Because I'm going to have it in those arbitrage or your ESF funds, right? If I'm going to have it in my debt funds, obviously it's going to be on my marginal rate, but not 100% of the funds I'm going to have it in debt funds. So the funds which are not in debt funds, my capital gains is only 12.5% when it is having an equity flavor. Now think about it. Where is 12.5% and where is 30%, right? And there is an exemption of 1.25 lakhs also, which you get for every financial year. Again, let me go back to this mantra: money saved is money gained. This should be your guiding parameter when it comes to your post-retirement planning. You have to look at every aspect. You can say that, sir, but how much of these funds I will have in equity base? Is it not risky? Obviously, it's equity. The word itself is risky, but you can balance it with these ESF or the arbitrage of the world. You can also have exposure, like, if you're less than 45 years of age, I would highly recommend that please do have a PPF active contribution every year. I am a PPF account holder. My account was opened in 2009. Next year it's going to mature, but I'm going to kind of extend it for another 5-year blocks, which I can keep doing it infinitely. Because that, when it grows to a very sizable corpus, it's already a sizable corpus, which would, by the grace of God. But when it grows much higher, say another 5 years or so, when I'm as of now, I'm now 45. I'm going to hit 46 in March 2025. So say another 5 years, I keep accruing more into that PPF, right? And then I move it to an SWP, because PPF is tax-free on the contribution to 1.5 lakhs per annum, the interest accrual, and the maturity. So I would recommend you guys to have some PPF allocation, some bit into debt, and some bit into this tax efficiency. If not 100% into all this tax inefficient product, which is debt. Yes, it is safe. It gives me the safety. It gives me the cushion. It gives me the protection. But it also asks a price for the protection that it gives me, which is through the taxes that it charges me, right? So I will have, or I will bring that blend in terms of mixing the whole thing so that my portfolio on post-retirement is more efficient in terms of the taxation aspect, right? Which is why SWP as a component, in comparison to an SW, you can also have SWP from a debt mutual fund, but it's not going to have the tax efficiency at all, because it's 30% or 20% depending upon your marginal tax rate whenever you withdraw, right? Independent of whether you are being in that fund for 5 years, 7 years, doesn't make a difference. What is the flexibility of SWP? Now, let's say, sir, the market down. Okay, last 2-3 months, the market has been down. Should I actually go and compulsorily withdraw the funds now? Let's defer it by 3 or 4 months, because I have enough money here at this point in time, even to carry on for the next 3 or 4 months. Or I can take it even every month also. That's not a problem. On an SWP, I can change the mandate or whatever that I can do. I have the flexibility so that if the market is running pretty high, I can have withdrawal as per usual. If, let's say, the market is running low, I can tweak my withdrawals. I have the flexibility because it's my own fund. It's my own mutual fund I'm having in a different asset allocation. It's not a third party annuity. It's not given by some insurance company where I cannot tell them that, hey, I don't want this now, I want it later. No, it's not possible, right? So, but in terms of the flexibility, you have a great deal of flexibility when it comes to your own product. SWP is always superior to annuity on tax efficiency, flexibility, depending upon how the market is. Obviously, higher returns, because this is not a guaranteed product, so it will have its own bit of volatility in a very optimized manner, but still there is a volatility. Because of that, this volatility that we are talking about, it also have this level of higher returns than your traditional annuity, right? So risk management, no dilution. I'm not diluting my risk. Why? I go back to this concept again, sir. Capital protection is greater than capital appreciation for me in post-retirement. And I'm not going to be compromising on that at any point of time. These two are the mantras. Capital protection is greater than capital appreciation. Money saved is money gained, right? So risk management, there is no dilution. So what are these different stress factors? Like when I was having the conversation with my dad, what was that different stress factors, which I did not openly tell him, but what are those in my mind? Obviously, the longer life expectancy. Why? Because people want to retire at 45 or 50. Previously, people wanted to retire at 60. They had a lifespan till about 75 or 80. So they used to work for 30 or 35 years at least and have a post-retirement life of like say 20, 15 years, right? 15 or 20 years. These days, people come and land in a job, decent job, when they're about 23 or 25 after their post-graduation PG and stuff, right? And they want to work only till 45 or 50. So they want to work only for 20 years, but they want to have a life expectancy plan till 85. So they want to work for 20 or max 25, and they want to plan a post-retirement for 40 years. Now that's where the whole stress comes, because you have lesser time. It's like chasing 200 runs or 220 runs in a 15 or instead of a 20 over game. Just imagine the opposition had set you a target of 220. Now there is rain. There is a Duckworth Lewis that comes in. Now this 220 is reducing to 212 or 210, but you have to chase it in 50 overs. That's how this Duckworth works, right? Sometimes. So this longer life expectancy and people wanting to retire earlier gives you the stress, right? So that's a huge stress in terms of like your retirement planning. And obviously there is a higher inflation at this point in time as we speak because of post-COVID. The banks across the world are trying to, the central banks across the world are trying to kind of contain the inflation to an acceptable limit. Because even in RBI, we have a Monetary Policy Committee, MPC, I think, which was formed in around 2014 to keep inflation in the bandwidth of 2 to 6%. But it's a challenge. The consumer price index inflation aspect is still a challenge. Obviously, the lower returns in your post-retirement, you will have lower returns because of you're moving from a higher risk to a lower risk. And obviously factors which are completely not in your control, the macro factors like geopolitical, there are wars going around in the world, there's the climatic change which is bringing about very unexpected rains and unexpected seasonalities in your agri and stuff like that. And then we just saw the pandemic for like 4 years, and it's going to be, say, come March 25, like it's going to be 5 years that we had that trauma, but we couldn't just control that, right? So those are macro factors. We just have to pray, like we are not in the wrong side of the deal when it comes to those macro factors during our retirement. But these are the stress factors that you have to be conscious about. Now, what are those which you can control? The first three is something which you can not control, actually, because you cannot. Longer life expectancy is something like you have to be healthy, so it's fine. Higher inflation is again something which is not in your control, but you have to be conscious about it. Just how we saw in that Excel sheet, if you're ignoring inflation, you're going to have a artificial or a plastic, portfolio size that you require, and you're actually going to run out of money. That's the last thing everyone wants, right? Towards the end of the life, no one wants to run out of money. No one wants to run out of corpus. Everyone wants to be comfortable until their lifetime and even leave some amount of corpus or kind of a succession planning for the next generation, right? So higher inflation is something which we have to be conscious about. Lower returns, which is where this whole aspect of money saved is equal to money gained is going to come in, because your capital protection takes the lead and the capital appreciation actually takes a backseat in your retirement, right? So this is where your stress factors comes. So obviously the asset allocation is going to help you, as I very elaborately explained about the bucket system. You are going to have 3 buckets and you are going to have multiple asset classes like liquid fund or bank account, like whatever that you can put in a bank account or savings account or liquid mutual funds. Then let's say your arbitrage funds, then let's say your equity savings fund, your dynamic asset allocation funds, or your conservative balanced advantage funds, or your whatever. Because even in BAFs and your balanced advantage funds, you have like conservative, aggressive, and moderate, depending upon the equity exposure. So, asset allocation is actually very critical. Using the bucket system, you can drive the asset allocation, because that becomes a very much simpler exercise, right? Okay, bucket one, I have taken care of it. Bucket two, what are the assets that I have to choose? Now, once I have chosen a particular nature of a fund, then I can go and do the research in terms of who is offering me the best risk-adjusted returns. Then I choose that. And the third is again, as I said, arbitrage fund. But again, This is not a universal system. Like even the bucket or the choice of funds that I'm talking about is not universal, but it's just giving you the perspective to trigger the thought process to have the cost saving or cost optimization from taxes and also return optimization. So asset allocation within the bucket systems is a very prime factor on your retirement portfolio. Risk profile, obviously, because people do have some kind of other fixed income streams like rentals and some kind of a inheritance which they have and stuffs like that. So the risk profile of a people to people is again different. So we'll have to make choices, if even if it is your own case or if it is for the people that you advise, you have to always take care of the risk profile. Net worth again is like the overall net worth of a person gives you that flexibility to take that little bit of higher chances. So if the net worth is high, if the dependency on the retirement portfolio is to the level of 40% or 50%, then you can play a slightly aggressive role, not so very aggressive, slightly aggressive role. So the net worth, the risk profile of each person is important when it comes to the asset allocation on the post-retirement portfolio as well. But we need to have a guiding factor, right? As I said, we have like 2,000 products in an Indian context. So we will be lost. It's like, just imagine you are opening someone is opening a big door for you into a hall. You are entering, and then there is a buffet where there are about 2,000 food items that are being kept. I cannot taste every single food item is there, right? I'm going to not have the capacity from a human point of view to do that. But I have to be in a position to go to those corners or to go to those areas which are going to suit me, right? So now if I go to a balanced advantage fund, if I go to the buffet area of that particular item, now there are going to be 4 or 5 items in that category, right? Like on the rotis, you have naans, you have like fulka, you have butter rotis and butter naan and stuffs like that, right? So it all forms a single category, but there are different variants around it. So likewise, I go to this equity savings fund, then I choose from that. Likewise on your arbitrage, likewise on some debt mutual fund, likewise on some other fund which is going to work for me, right? But I should have the clarity to go to those different individual areas to have the best taste from that buffet. Because that room in an Indian amphi point of view, which is holding 68 lakh rupees of corpus at this point in time, can serve anyone. But I have to choose what is going to fill my stomach without affecting my health, right? Because in post retirement, I have to take care of my health also, right? So I should have these two mantras being fulfilled. Money saved is money gained, and capital protection greater than capital appreciation. So in that buffet hall, I stand and I have to choose those funds which are palatable, which are digestible, and which are not going to affect me. And it's going to be in line with what my objectives are. So we need to have a very clear strategy to plan that, without which, unfortunately, my dear friends, I can assure you that if we are not going to have a strategy, we are going to be a little lost, because there's too much of information, there's too much of products which are there. So that could kind of push you into a wrong decision making, right? So with that, this aspect of retirement, we come to the end. Okay, so I'm also, as I said, as Kanaya said initially, I'm also a CFP, and whatever that I talk right today is a result of the certification which I did. I did it purely out of my passion. I'm basically an engineer from background. I'm an engineer by background, but I had this passion for personal finance all through my life, right? So it's like I just thought like, okay, I've been investing in the market from the last 8 or 10 years, but in 2023 early, I thought like, why not formalize this understanding or formalize this aspect of personal finance through the certification of CFP, right? That's when my engagement with ICOFP started in a very small, humble manner when I tried to become a CFP, right? So let's take a look at what ICOFP offers in terms of what they can do for the CFP certification, right? So So obviously the program eligibility is pretty simple, my dear friends. You have to get a minimum 10+2 and 18 years plus of age, no restriction of stream. You can be from arts background, you can be from science background, you can be an engineering background, doesn't matter. So to get the CFP mark, obviously to appear for the CFP exams, you don't have these preconditions, but to obtain the mark, you have to have a graduation or a 3, and there is no or here. All of this is and. Minimum of graduation and minimum of 3 years of work experience in the BFSI sector, or a 1 year of supervised articleship or an internship under a CFP, right? So that's needed for you to be certified. You will be passed, that score is valid for 5 years, but you have to fulfill these conditions to get certified. That's what is this condition is for. Right. So what are these 4 levels that, what are the different modules or the topics that's getting covered in these 4 levels? It's a very comprehensive program. Trust me, because I have gone through this I finished all these 4 levels in 7 months, and I stood for the year 2023 or 24 as a top 5 CFP candidate across India. So I did all this within 7 months, all of them in first attempt. So it's a program which covers a lot of aspects around personal finance, which is needed. So your first level talks about your investment planning specialist, which the time value of money, as that Excel sheet which I showed you, like inflation, future value, present value, all of that, the financial mathematics part of it. That's called your personal finance management. And you also read about the different asset classes, asset allocation, dynamic, strategic, and all that, which is again important. So that happens in the first level. Your second level is about retirement, the different retirement products, PPF, gratuity, leave salary, voluntary retirement services, the other aspects of retirement. And then you also have your personal income tax. From an Indian context, you have the taxation in your second level, right? Your third level has the risk and estate planning. Your risk is about your insurance, and estate planning is how much of money you want to kind of leave to the next generation. That's in the third level. And the fourth level is just a combination, or you're just going to revise whatever that you are going to have studied in the first 3 levels. So the fourth level, you will not be obviously studying anything new, but you'll be kind of going back or increasing the complexity of the previous 3 levels in terms of the concepts. That's what you will do in the fourth level. So you have an exam to clear plus a project to submit as well. So that kind of, it's very comprehensive. Trust me, if someone puts their heart and soul into this, they're going to have a huge transition in terms of personal finance. That much I can guarantee, not because I'm outside of it. I've been a recipient of this certification and I've gone through this, right? Let me just pop it on. So these are the 4 levels that you have. So as I said, it's setting the benchmark of excellence. It's a global certification. It's recognized in about like 27 different countries. Even yesterday, I was reading an article in LinkedIn where it compares CFP and CFA. Obviously, CFA is more of a wholesale kind of a finance. CFP is personal finance. But when it comes to personal finance advisory, I think CFP is one of the best certifications that you have at this point in time when it comes to personal finance. So listening, so you go through a lot of this, how to listen carefully, how to do the correct level of inquiry, how to extract information from clients in the manner that you want and stuff like that. So there are a lot of chat messages which are coming, my dear friends. I'm not focusing there because let me complete with this presentation. Then I'll focus on the chat messages and I'll also take questions. So I would request you all to put the questions or your comments or your feedback or suggestions, whatever that you have, in the chat as of now, but I'm not looking at them now. I'll look at it after I complete this presentation, right? So why ICOFP? Now, CFP I talked about, which is a certification which is issued by Financial Planning Standard Board, FPSB. It's US based. It's headquartered in Denver in US. FPSB India is a wholly owned subsidiary of FPSB US. So they issue the certification. Now, when it comes to why ICOFP for CFP, because ICOFP is the first educational provider who actually brought CFP certification to India itself way back from 23 years back, right? So, consistent track record for 20 plus years, or, like since 2002, ICOFP has been number one. They were the pioneers in bringing, or we were the pioneers in bringing CFP certification to India. Okay. So you have your live classes, you have recorded classes, you have your weekend classes, you have your weekday classes. It's tailor made for the different requirements. If you're a working professional, you can opt for the weekend classes. If you are a student, or if you're in a sabbatical, if you're trying to chase this, because in my case, I joined the weekday program from Monday to Thursday, 2 hours in the evening, because I was having the time and I also wanted to finish it fast, right? Which is why I could finish it within 7 months, right? So you have ICOFP brings about that expertise in terms of offering multiple different solutions as being the largest education provider. So our infrastructure, our LMS is excellent, our faculty is excellent, our coaching methodology, practice sheets, the content that we have in the class, whatever that we are talking today is just an example of it, right? So even I do mentor and also tutor for the CFP aspirants. So you can be pretty, this is like a sample food size, right? So that's what we bring from ICOFP's point of view, being the largest education and the oldest. We are the first, right? Obviously, the faculties experience the highest number of CFP certificates in terms of from a historical point of view, right? So this is where the faculty list is there. I'm also here, latest entrant. So we have Madhu Sinha ma'am, who used to be the director of FPSB India at one point in time. She's our dean, and we have the different faculty that bring about industry expertise and also years of academic excellence in terms of training people, right? So, that's the thing. So as I said, we have the virtual live classes on Zoom. We also have the e-learning sessions where it's like an LMS where you can kind of watch the videos and learn on your own. That's for someone who wants the flexibility of being able to see or learn faster. And, we do provide that option in terms of the e-learning option also. And as I said, virtual live classes, we have the weekend batches, we have the weekday batches, we have multiple level of interventions. After you are registering for exams for the level 1 and level 4, we also have the mentorship programs where you will be mentored individually. Like I mentor a lot of kids in level 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And I would have now mentored almost like 150 plus students, and almost like in different levels, and at least 30 or 40 people have certified, CFP certified also. They have been with me from level 1 and they've gone on to earn their CFP certification as well. So we mentor students, we understand from an individual point of view the challenges in terms of how do you want to go about the program, what are the pitfalls or the roadblocks or your challenges or the bottlenecks that you will face. We take a very human and a system centric approach. So we have a beautiful combination of the human angle to this process and also a system driven angle by LMS and stuffs like that. So we bring a very impeccable combo in terms of giving that interface to students in terms of user experience and also being objective to complete the certificate. End of the day, we are all here. If you onboard in ICOFP, it's to get the certification, right? So we make sure that you do that, right? So we provide concept books, workbooks, group projects, preview videos in terms of for you to learn. LMS, as I said, it's impeccable. I was just going through the LMS. The IT head was giving me a virtual tour yesterday on the LMS for almost like 1.5 hours. I was so amazed myself. The classes recordings, then you also have mock tests before you appear for the exam. You need to give mock test for your practice level to be higher, right? So you have them as well. And as I said, you have personalized mentors, one-to-one, who are talking to you. You can reach out to them. I have people, pinging me in the night at 11 because they would be studying for the exam 2 days away, sir. Like, I don't understand this concept. Can you please guide me on this? Yes, I do answer to the level possible. I'm not saying that I'm going to be answering someone at 12 o'clock or 11:30 in the night, but as much as possible, like from 100% scale, if you see my response rate and most of our faculty's response rate is in excess of 90%. Now, if someone is going to send at 130 just because they're studying, obviously it's not going to happen. But without giving a plastic talk, even from a very, very practical standpoint, if I have to say, our response rate is in excess of 90%. We also have the refresher classes. When I say response rate for the individual queries, even if it is going to fall at 1 o'clock in the night, I'm going to wake up the next day morning and I'm going to still answer that. Unresolved queries is 0%, but time, the instantaneous reply is in excess of 90% is what I mean, right? So there is 100% answering in terms of the queries that are being raised and a 90% plus for the instantaneous effect, right? So weekly doubt clearing sessions, then we have a lot of practice sheets for numericals, case studies, assignments and stuffs like that, which are tailor made. And we also have a lot of notes which are uploaded in your LMS, which kind of makes your studying experience much more smoother, right? So obviously this is the cost for a regular pathway. So there is two elements of cost to this. One is the FPSB's board fee. One is the ICOFP's cost, this is for the regular pathway, because we also have something called a challenge pathway for the BFSA professionals. We'll come to it in the next sheet. So there is a FPSB registration, FPSB's e-content fee, when you're appearing for the exam, then FPSB exam fee. For every exam, you pay an exam fee. Then there is a FPA, which is the final assessment that you do, right? And the specialist certification fee once all three levels are being completed. So there is a component in terms of 18,000 for the registration, 32,500 for all the 4 levels of books, and FPSB's exam fee for all the 4 levels put together. Then FPA at 10,500. So we have tried to capture the different cost elements from the board's point of view. And this one, the candidate will be paying directly to the board. So you will be swiping your card or whatever is your payment option. You will log into the website of FPSB India and you will be paying this directly. So your transaction, although you are with us in terms of we being your education provider, these payments go directly to the board. So this is not designed or devised by us. So this is common for everyone pan-India from FPSB India's point of view. Right, as I said, education is minimum 10 plus 2, age is 18 plus years, no restrictions of stream. Then to achieve the CFP charter membership, you need to be a graduate and have that work experience that I talked about. A minimum of 3 years in BFSI or a 1 year of internship under a CFP, right? So this fast track, there is a validation fee, which in terms of a document, this is for, there is an eligibility which is very clearly mentioned here, CA or CA inter with 3-year articleship plus BCom. Then you can be a CFA, CPA, ACCA, CMA, MBA, CAIB and BCom advanced with wealth management. All of these different educational qualifications that you have will enable you to become eligible for the fast track pathway. Now, what does fast track pathway means, my dear friends? You will straight away go to the 4th level. You're not going to do level 1, 2, 3 like I did. You're going to go straight away to the level 4 and you're just going to write the CFP exam and submit that project. So if you clear them both, you're going to be certified CFP. So this is possible when you have this eligibility criteria being met out. And this is cost, as I said earlier, I'm saying it again, this is a cost that you will pay to FPSB India directly. So pan India, this is standard, common, whether you're doing it through us, whether you're doing it with anyone, this is a cost that you will be paying to the board directly. The transaction is between the candidate and FPSB board, right? In terms of fast track validation, registration, then the FPA assessment, CFP final exam, and the certification, right? Obviously, you have the different virtual learning, e-learning, and the fast track pathway, the different pricing that's being mentioned here in terms of if you take it level wise, it's 20K. If you take it one and all, then it's a 60K program. Then the e-learning, if you take it to one level individual, then it's 15K. If you take it on a combined basis, it's 60K. Fast track is again 35K for all of the prep books, live classes, capstone project mentoring, level 4 books, and all of that we are talking about. So we do provide tailor-made support programs in terms of financial EMI based or no interest wala EMI based. So you just pay the 10,000 bucks. Even in my case, I did that. Like, so although I did not need it, but someone was saying like, sir, we are just offering it to you. Why not take it? There's not going to be anything for you in it in terms of cost. So I said, okay, let's do that. So I just paid 10,000 and it's seamless. So as I say, many of these things or all of these things that I speak here is also from my own experience of being a, student. So it's not like whatever that I'm saying, I'm just talking about in air, just being a faculty or a mentor. I was also a student pretty much here. So I understand the advantages or the benefits or how supreme are these things when it comes to a user point of view, right? Okay, so there is obviously it's year end. We all have to make those pledges or we have to make those resolutions for the new year, right? So we usually make it's always around the weight loss journey, right? Or something that we have to develop a habit and stuff like that. But I would, jokes apart, if you ask me very, very personally or an individual opinion of mine, personal finance is here to stay, my dear friends. Because as India as a market, we are only at 5 to 8% of penetration in terms of the financial penetration into your market-based investments and stuffs. And if you read the newspapers, the deposit levels in banks before 5 or 10 years has come down to what it was before 5 or 10 years. Those are getting diverted to the market. The, as I said earlier, the AMFI size is 68 lakh rupees crores and the SIP book size is consistently growing and it is about 24,000 crores last when I read the report for the previous months. And it has been always in excess of 21 or 22,000 crores on a monthly basis. That's a huge ticket size, right? And we are still about 6 to 8% or 5 to 8% in terms of market penetration. What does that mean? Out of 100 people living in India, only 5 to 8 people actually invest in these markets and mutual funds or stocks and stuff like that, right? Now, just imagine even if it goes to 15%, if it goes to 20%, which is also not much, just to give you a perspective, US, this is in excess of 50. Okay. So if we have to get there with the size of population and with the amount of disposable income that all of us have, this is going to be huge. The 68 lakh crores that I'm talking about with just 8% upside penetration, even if it goes to 20%, we are talking about 200 lakh crores, 250 lakh crores. It's even an effort to calculate the number of zeros for those kind of figures, right? So this is something here to stay. Now you want to be a part of it, not want to be a part of it. Something is up to the individual. But if you have to be in the personal finance space, the regulations are going to increase. I even had a small video made for the requirement or being compliant with what SEBI says, with what the overall regulatory framework says. Certification is of key importance. It's going to become more and more and more critical and important when the size of money coming into the market is going up. Obviously, there is going to be a regulatory angle, which is obviously it's like a rule, it's like a license that you have to take for a driving and stuff like that. That is always a regulatory thing, which is there. But you also have a huge scope, right? In terms of, as I said, the market is just here, it's going to go up here. So you have a tremendous scope in terms of the market opportunity. Now, how much we want to leverage out of it is up to us entirely, right? So if you have to have a resolution for the new year, I would strongly recommend from my own experience to have a resolution because there is a reason that you would have also taken your effort to be here in this weekend, to be in this webinar or in this session, right? So if that is the case, I would strongly recommend all of you to take this certification resolution to complete in 2025 that you want to be a CFP. It's a professional certification. It gives a great deal of satisfaction. I did this. I was an engineer. I graduated in 2020. So after almost 24 years, I sat for the exam. So You don't even have to have that kind of doubts that I'm too old and stuff like that. No, there's no age. It's just about your attitude. It's just about your interest, right? So there is a flat 15% discount on course fee across virtual learning, e-learning, and fast track pathway aimed at the resolutionist, I would call, for the year end. So please do take maximum use of this, because that's kind of, as I said, money saved is money gained. It's just not in post retirement. So it's also here in pre-retirement as well. And you save 16,250 on the FPSB content fee, because we offer an exclusive discount on the content fee that we saw earlier. At every level, you have to buy the content. So we provide a discount as being a premium education partner. We have that arrangement with the board to provide discount to our candidates for the content which they purchase. And you also get access to few of this e-learning videos and quick learning courses that we also have as a platform. But I would say, besides the mathematics and economics of it, take the resolution to become a personal finance expert. Now, if you want to become a personal finance expert, which is why you are here in some capacity, then CFP is the way to go. And as long as you have made up your mind for CFP, ICOFP is the destination that you have to choose. Because I have been through this journey personally, so I can vouch for it and talk for it. I don't see any any reason for someone who is wanting to do CFP doing somewhere else apart from ICOFP. It's a great place to be, and it's like a family. Once you become a part of it, even in e-learning, we do mentor e-learning kids also after when they going to appear for exam. Although e-learning is what designed is only to see videos themselves and learn, right? But we still do mentor those kids when they're going to appear for exams. Because for us, once you become on board in ICOFP, it's a family kind of a thing. So we have that bond, we have that uniform kind of an attention to the human level possible. So beyond the offers and mathematics and the pricing, which is also important, but we also bring a lot of human value and a human element to this journey, because here the journey is what that is important, which will actually enable you to finish the certification. All right. And we have an industry first offer where the final certification, if you do through us, you also get the 10,500 refunded from us. That's, in my opinion, is a very great offer. I also had got this offer as a student, so I can say that it works, right? So this is the offer for today, and you also have the 0% interest. You save up to 35,000. As I said, do not look at just the numbers. The numbers are important. Take that resolution to become a personal finance professional. Approach it in from a very structured manner, guided by the framework laid out by the authorities or the regulators here. And CFP is the way to go. And as I said, if CFP is the way to go, then ICOFP is the only way to go, right? So this is the number that you can call to reach out to our advisors to register yourself into this course, right? That's about the presentation. Kanaya, would you like to add something to this, please?
Thank you so much, Vibhu sir. I can see a couple of questions in the chat box.
Okay, let's address questions. Let me stop share my screen first. Okay, what are the chat questions that we have as per today? Okay, this is Krishan. Will the ICOP help in getting the 1 year supervised internship under practicing CFP for getting the CFP certification for us, the candidates? Yes, I think so, right, Kanaya? We do facilitate some kind of an internship with BCL or some other facilitation to the level possible, right?
Yes.
Can you please talk about that to a certain extent? Because someone is asking if we will help them with that internship thing.
We will arrange this for you. That's not an issue. The one we have so many faculty who are practicing CFP. You can also work under our faculty.
Yeah. Pay after placement. What other questions we have here, Kanaya?
Which one? Let's start from the first.
Okay, let's go up. Okay, this is Christian. Getting the 1 year which we have already.
Friends, the one question let me take, because 2 or 3 times, I can say. You don't have to renew you don't have to give exam to renew your certification. The renewal fee is 10,500 rupees, and you have to collect CPD points. Continuous learning. What is the full form of CPD, sir?
Continuous Progress Development, CPD.
Right. The 15 CPD points you need to acquire by attending some webinars or doing some kind of presentation in a year. So that is all required. You don't have to appear for any exam.
Yeah, it's an annual renewal. You don't have to appear for the exam every year.
Right. Murnal sir is asking, respected sir, Murnal Parekh, the retail banker, age 44 years, with 22 years of experience and BSc Physics, MBA Information System and General Management from Rajkot City, currently with AVP 1. Please guide for the total program timelines and further CTC expected.
So, sir, Mrunal ji, you are a retail banker, age 44 with 22 years of experience and MBA as well. So, obviously, you can go to the fast track. And if you say you are a retail banker, this one, it will be, if you are still continuing to be a banker, if you want to pursue your rest of your service years into banking, CFP will definitely propel your growth into being an investment counselor, investment advisor, or more so from a revenue based a relationship manager is to chase books, right, in terms of revenue. But when you become CFP, I know a lot of banks like HDFC, for their investment counselors, one of the first preconditions for them to become investment counselors is to have a CFP certification. So CTC depends upon what is your current CTC, but I would say you will have a minimum of 20 to 30% minimum baseline on a price or enhanced CTC from your current levels if you are in wealth, or if you are just say in retail banking, branch banking, into the liability franchise in terms of your deposits and stuffs, then this is a big game changer for you to move into wealth with a lot of respect, because CFP is exactly regarded in a very respectful manner in the banking ecosystem. And you will also move to the product stream if you become a CFP. So that's one of the main advantages of becoming a CFP, because CFP is able to see that asset allocation. And as I said, we have 2,000 products just in mutual funds. What is the best for each person? That ability a CFP can bring to the table. There is a lot of value.
Yeah, thank you, Vibhu. The another question is from Kumar Aditya ji. Is online MBA program valid for obtaining CFP certification? So yes, your MBA should be AICTE or UGC recognized. It should be 2 years program in any stream or any discipline, irrespective of finance or any specialization.
QPFP and CFP, obviously QPFP and CFP, there is a differences because obviously this is an international accreditation. So the recognition of this program is much higher. So to talk high about one thing, you don't have to talk low about the other thing. So I would talk high about the CFP alone, not talk anything about the QPFP, because I do not have much of a background into it. But I can say for sure that CFP has got an international accreditation reach. It's recognized. It's a global standard golden program. It's recognized in 27 different countries. And as we saw, it has different levels and a comprehensive program to get a hang of what should be the way to go about in personal finance. There is no deadline, Deepak Shah, to clear the exam once the fast track pathway is selected. I have candidates. I'm actually the mentor for chief mentor for the fast track students specifically. I'm the single point of contact for them. So I understand their psyche, their work pressure, their working professionals in terms of having very squeezed up time and stuff like that. I have candidates who do it at different points in time. But yeah, there is no restriction in terms of the deadline. So please, you don't have to worry about it. But I would say if you are focused, you can knock it off within 5 or 6 months. Because we are devising a lot of initiatives to get the whole module thing delivered in 3 to 4 months, then other 1 or 2 months to prepare for the exam. So maximum 5 or 6 months, you can kind of knock it off. Okay, Mr. Vibhu, can you kind of share your contact details, mobile and email, please? Okay. give you my email.
Anurag ji is asking, is
What is it, Kanaya? Kanaya, I'm not able to hear you.
Am I audible now?
Yes, now yes.
Yeah. So Anurag ji, we will provide you the level 4 books, the physical books. We will courier it to your address. For level 1, 2, and 3, we will provide you our LMS access, the entire LMS, the access for entire CFP levels, level 1, 2, 3, 4. You can go through it. We will also provide you the soft copy books. But for physical books, for level 4, we will provide you the physical books for level 4.
Okay. Kanaya, we also take some live questions, right? Where people do ask.
Yes, so the one question is Satish is asking, I'm a mutual fund distributor. Can I take up the fast track? If yes, then what are provided by you? What will be the duration to take the exam?
If he's a mutual fund distributor, obviously that is something different, but educational qualification in terms of being a postgraduate, the experience wise, MFD is counted as a relevant work experience towards the work experience category. But the educational parameter of being a CFA or a postgraduate MBA in finance or whatever associated or any MBA, that is still required. So just by being a MFD, that educational condition doesn't go off. It's still there. Right, Krishan?
Yes, sir. But I think he's a graduate.
No, but you have to be for a fast track, you have to be a postgraduate as well, right?
Yes, sir. Post graduation is mandatory along with experience.
Yes. Will you advise larger corpus in equity savings, regular dividends for long term instead of FDS, etc., to meet monthly expense? Yes, of course, large corpus in equity savings. Yes, it's a great fund to have. You can have a 8% per annum SWP from that. Triggering every quarter at the rate of 2% per quarter. That's not a challenge. It's a great fund to do that. It's a great fund to put the corpus. As I said, I have invested a sizable corpus into one of the ESF, equity savings fund. That's a category which I love.
A couple of questions in the Q&A also, sir, if you can take.
Yeah, sure. BCom, Satish, BCom and IRDA license holder, I think for fast track, you have to have post graduation. I think there are some exceptions which I think, Krishan, is there some kind of exceptions which people have through some certifications?
Sir,
If someone, yeah,
Huh?
yes, Kishan, please go ahead.
post graduation is mandatory for the same. Otherwise, CA pass, CFA, USA cleared. That's the assumption, sir. MCom completed.
Sure.
I think he will go with the regular pathway, sir.
Yes, I think you should go with the regular path.
So, friends, you have any question, you can also raise your hand and I'll unmute you one by one. You can you can ask your question directly from Vibhu sir.
Yeah, Praveen B.
Yes, Praveen ji, you can unmute.
Yeah, hi sir, good afternoon. So I'm a loan consultant basically, and I also done my IRDA certification where I'm doing insurance business as well as loan business. So I'm a BCom graduate. So BCom with IRDA, can I directly go for a fourth, or I have to complete all the 4 levels?
I think you have to do all 4 levels, Praveen, if I'm not wrong. You can also do one alternative thing. The IRDA that you have and the other certification that you talked, loan consultant, I don't think you will have any certification pertaining to that. But IRDA is an insurance regulatory, that's something pertaining to the insurance, right?
Correct.
To my knowledge, I don't think that will compensate for your post-graduation not being there. Post-graduation, as Krishan also just confirmed, because he's been doing this for like some 10 plus years. So he's a specialist also in terms of the requirement angle. So I think the post-graduation is a compulsory thing. Alternatively, I can ask one of our counselors to get in touch with you, take your details, and maybe We can even check through an email or whatever with FPSB if what you have enables you to become eligible for fast track, so that you will have the
Can you send me
clarity.
the updated resume also on the mail ID? I just send that as well.
So, Krishan, can you please share your mail ID on the chat so that people
Yes,
can
sir.
take a note of it?
Yeah, thank you, sir.
So, Praveen, you can kind of send an email, or we can ask someone to kind of get in touch with you also. So we will take it. We can kind of officially raise a query to FPSB and get it clarified from them directly, right? So that kind of gives us that confirmation angle. But otherwise, I would advise you to go for the regular pathway. You learn a lot of things also, Praveen. I don't see that a challenge. As long as
Okay.
you have the intent, you can do the regular also.
Sure, sir. And one more last question. Sorry. How long does this course duration take, like for all the
It
4
depends
levels?
on person to person, Praveen. As I said, I finished all 4 levels in 7 months. So
Mhm.
if someone is kind of really serious about it, within 1 year you can finish it.
Okay. Okay. Understood.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So the one question is, sir, Tarunji is asking to you, who cleared your basic finance when you started your CFP journey? Because most of the people who are from the different background have not have the knowledge of basic of finance. So starting the CFP, can you please take this question?
Of course, though, as you are from any stream, like, CFP, it starts from a very basic level of understanding. See, I will tell you something, friends. When it comes to money, right? So there is no background. Money does not have color. Money does not discriminate yellow, green, blue, nothing. You can be from any background. You can be a scientist. You can be a doctor. You can be a surgeon. You can be a lawyer. But we all need to plan our finances, right? That's common, because financial advisors are like your doctors, right? You go to a doctor to check your health and to make sure that everything is okay in terms of this thing. Likewise, an advisor is like a doctor. So come with an open mind. You will be starting from very basic in terms of time value of money, as I said, how the interest rate works and stuff like that. It will be very basic. Come with an open mind. Be curious like a student. Whatever be your background, you will get that understanding over a period of time, but you should be willing to put in that level of hard work to be staying committed to the program. Like, I wish something big, but if they don't want to do the process, then that's not adding up, right? Whatever be your background, science, arts, political science, history, economics, whatever be your background, or complete engineering, technical field, I was a BTech, I was into B Farm, I'm an ophthalmologist. There is a doctor who I recently know who did CFP last year, just because of the passion for the personal finance. Because money, as I said, all of us have to save and invest our money somewhere, right? Mahesh Moore is asking how to register, Kanaya. So maybe we can ask our team.
We will arrange a call for you, and my counselor will guide you how to register for the program and how to avail the offer for today.
Any other audio questions which you would like to take, Kanaya? Anyone raising hands? If you guys want to ask any questions, please do raise your hands, and you can ask your question.
ठीक है. So all right, Vibhu sir.
Okay.
So it's time. I cannot see any question unanswered here. Neither any question is.
Satish Verma has given his number. Interested in the regular classes pathway registration. Krishan, please take note of this number.
Sure, sir, definitely.
One last word before we sign off, my dear friends. As I said, it's season. It's time of that year when we take resolutions. The market is there. The opportunity is there. You have to make up your mind whether you want to be a part of it or not. As I said, you can think 100 times whether to do CFP or not. That's a decision you have to process. But you don't have to think even once after deciding to do CFP about ICOFP. Because I'm a first-hand recipient of being studied from that place. and I'm also a mentor there now. I also am a faculty in terms of teaching students for different levels. It's a great place to be with. It's a great experience, and they kind of take you through this, or we take you through this entire journey as like one family. So process your thoughts about CFP, which I'm sure the opportunity is huge and tremendous from an Indian point of view. The moment you are decided with CFP, call Krishan Vasisht. He's going to ensure that you are on board with ICOFP. Okay.
One or two questions we will take. Sir, Tarun Sharma ji is asking, program is delivering in Hindi or English language?
It's a combo, right? Like, so if all my participants are able to understand Hindi in a class, like let's say there are like 14 or 15 participants in the class, if मैं तो हूँ चेन्नई से सर, बट मैं हिंदी में बिल्कुल बहुत ही अच्छे से बात कर सकता हूँ, 2-3 घंटे भी लगातार, मुझे कोई दिक्कत नहीं है हिंदी में बात करने का. मगर प्रॉब्लम ये होती है कभी कभी कि मतलब क्लासेस में 2-3 लोग जो होते हैं जो हिंदी समझ नहीं पाते, तो उनके लिए हमें इंग्लिश में ही पढ़ाना पड़ता है. मगर आपकी जो डाउट्स हैं आप हिंदी में पूछो, जो भी जब भी जिस क्लास में आप होते हैं, तो उसकी डाउट का जो क्लैरिफिकेशन वगैरह जो भी होगा वो आपको बता देंगे हिंदी में. मगर मैं क्लास पूरा का पूरा हिंदी में नहीं ले पाऊंगा, कॉम्बो में भी नहीं ले पाऊंगा यदि मेरा एक भी बच्चा हिंदी नहीं जानता है. तो वो मेरा कमिटमेंट है ना मेरा स्टूडेंट्स के लिए. If there is even one guy who is not able to understand Hindi or one person, then I cannot give a class in Hindi. When will be the course session starting? I think Krishan will get in touch with you, Satish. He will be able to answer that.
Yes, and the fast track batch is starting probably in a week time, and the weekend batch for regular pathway will start from the second week of January.
Okay, and weekday batch? Any weekday batch starting?
Weekdays where we have recently started, so it will take another 2 months to start the weekdays batch.
Okay, because I think we have a November weekday batch which just started, right?
Yes.
But they can, if someone wants to join in the weekday batch, they can always, just to let you know, guys, because I joined little later, like the batch had just started. I saw the entire PFM module in videos here. All the 10 classes I saw in videos. Then I joined for the second module of ICAM. I was telling DJ also yesterday, who is the faculty here, Dinesh Gupta, right? So DG को मैं कल बता रहा था यार, सर जी मैं आपका पूरा 10 क्लासेस वीडियोस में ही देख के आया हूँ. वो एकलव्य जो बोलते हैं ना, मतलब बिना गुरु को देख के ही मतलब ऐसे सीख लिया. आप जो जिसको इंटरेस्ट है वो बैचेस, वो टाइमिंग, ऐसे सब चीजों के लिए वेट नहीं करता है कन्या. सो जो जिसको आना है, इफ यू वांट टू जॉइन, if there is a batch which is already going one module ahead, you can watch the videos in 1 week, the 10 videos, then you can map yourself with that November batch. No challenge, don't think too much. In fact, just to let you know, I also joined in the December month. When it was 2022 December, there was a batch which had just gone ahead. So I watched the videos of one of the modules, some 10 videos were there. I watched them for 1 week sitting, doing everything. Then I joined along with the previous month ka team. So that is possible. You need to just have that intent. Have that intent. Make that resolution. Become a part of this journey. Start somewhere. It will happen. If you are just waiting for the right time was yesterday. Right time is never tomorrow. Right time is always yesterday. Okay. All right. So thanks all for a great participation and being a great audience. And thank you, Kannaya and ICOP. Thank you, Krishan, for being a patient audience.
Thank you so much, sir.
Sorry.
Thank you so much, sir, and thank you so much, everyone.
Yep. Thanks.
Thank you
Can
so
I
much.
leave?
Actually, I was getting call. I'm so sorry. So signing off now.